Forbes India, CNBC-TV18 present India Inc. on the Move. Smart Manufacturing, powered by RockwellAutomation.
Hello and welcome to India Inc. on the Move Smart Manufacturing Summit by Forbes India and CNBC-TV18 in partnership with Rockwell Automation. Now, the boom in electric cars is already underway and switching to electric cars is inevitable in India. The electric car industry is still in its infancy in the country, and the next 2 to 3 years will see a faster growth and greater adoption. We are already seeing rapid changes in this year, and forces are combining to align public policy, sector investment, and consumer demand in order to drive the supply of electric vehicles to an elusive tipping point. Now, India has taken a lot of practical steps to increase the consumption of electric vehicles, but there is still a need for a thriving industrial system, a proper supply chain, and infrastructure, which is currently hampering the pace of mass adoption. When it comes to electric vehicle manufacturing, the industry definitely requires a more focused approach to research, development, as well as localization in order to create sustainable growth. So now what we do need at this point in time is a fast and new approach for electric vehicle startups, for established automakers and suppliers. Everyone is learning by the day. This is a new concept for everyone, and a change is needed in processes and technologies for electric vehicle manufacturers to meet these changing market needs. So to talk about this and more, I have our panel of experts joining us. We have Manoj Sonar, who is a regional industry consultant automotive at Rockwell Automation. We have Dushyant Habu, who is the CEO at VDL Pinnacle Engineering.
Suresh D, who's the Group CTO of Spark Minda.
And Gaurav Gupta, the Chief Commercial Officer at MG Motors. Gentlemen, to all of you, thanks a lot for joining us on the panel. It promises to be a very interesting discussion, and I'm sure I'll get to learn a lot as well. Manoj, I want to start with you. There's a changing consumer behavior that's very evident, right? I mean, compared to what we saw 10 years ago, people are now adopting to newer technology, to electric vehicles. There is an increasing obsession with the SUV segment as well. It's fast growing. How, as a company or as an industry observer, how do you adapt to this changing consumer behavior?
Today, I'm equipped with a lot of information when I'm going to buy any product or services. I am able to see what are the options which are available to me. I do a benchmarking. I do a lot of feedbacks from the friends or whichever available in the social media, and decide on what is the product that I'm going to buy. And this is also applicable to car, vehicle, and two-wheelers. Once he or she goes to a dealership, that they have already knowing what they need to buy, what are the options which are there. On top of that, they will also have some of the choices they are having. So this is actually forcing all manufacturer to go digital, and that is the only way to actually address that. They need to have their manufacturing, their processes, which are driven through data and innovation of their products and services, which are essentially based on the data which is available. Currently, although we are in a starting phase where AI and ML have started playing role in manufacturing, but that is what is actually a driving force for all automakers, be it a conventional automotive or be it an electric vehicle.
So Dushyant, I want you to come in on this. As a solution provider, one of the key challenges would be to combine and to integrate different technologies at the same time and meet your customer requirements as well, right? In this whole process of adoption towards electric vehicles, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced, and where do you think the gaps lie right now that you need to fill as an industry?
So the biggest change is that right now the industry is moving from the conventional machines to the electric vehicles. So what we can say is that not just the auto industry, but even the integrators and production system suppliers like us are at the cusp of a paradigm shift at the moment, because the challenges that we have vary a lot. The main issues that we are facing is with respect to the investments. The investments have to come down drastically. The space requirements need to come down drastically. And we need to have lean automation setups with high productivity at the same time.
How does one adapt to this changing consumer behavior as a key part of the ecosystem? And what are the steps that need to be taken, say, by manufacturers, by service providers, in order to meet that gap?
First is understanding the key trends which is happening around us. The trends like digitization, urbanization, rise of Gen Z, and sustainability. So these four key trends which are evolving around the environment, especially the automotive. So this needs to be captured by the industry, by the people or the company well. And second is the dynamic response capturing is very important. What I mean by dynamic response is that the industry is changing so fast, so you can't be static with the analysis or capturing anything around you. So we have to be dynamic in terms of our response, in terms of capturing the scenarios, in terms of market, customers, and competition. And other very important, the last but not least, is the OEM expectations. We all know that QCD is very important for any customers or OEMs. So the performance, quality, and agility, I would say these three are the very important parameters which every organization have to keep a track of it. So performance in terms of the technology, in terms of the component or the product performance in the field, the quality in terms of the deliverables, could be on the development or engineering or to the manufacturing, then agility.
Gaurav Gupta, Chief Commercial Officer at MG Motors, is also with us. Gaurav, how do you adapt to changing consumer behaviors as a key part of the ecosystem? I mean, MG Motors has done exceptionally well in this transition to electric vehicles. But just tell us, what was the step-by-step approach towards this?
It's very important what you just mentioned, Sonia, because I think one has to look at the entire landscape that is out there and how that is also changing. So one key aspect to look at is the consumer profile today, and not just the consumer, but the influencer profile. So we see it as a good mix of, whether you call it Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, in fact, even some young alphas, baby boomers, all of them come together, right? And what actually is the lowest common denominator for everybody? It is technology. So we see technology playing a very key factor for a larger set out there, number one. Number two, we see that the second aspect is about experience being very, very important, and then speed. So looking into all of these three things, when we were building up MG in India, we looked at MG being established as an auto tech brand, because technology, like I said, is actually it combines everyone together. And now once you establish it on these pillars, you start looking at or the stance of an auto tech. You then understand that what are the pillars required for your brand to go further. So then we looked at innovation being a key aspect for the brand, which means constant work in the area of connected cars, electric vehicles, autonomous cars, because technology, like I said, is a key aspect. And likewise, experience. So therefore, from an experience perspective, we started to focus on, from very beginning, on digital areas. In fact, at MG, we started the digital booking of the car way back when we actually came up to the market also in 2019. So the entire experience being on your mobile, including areas where you have a car configurator in the showrooms, on your laptops at home, seamless connectivity, seamless moving across of all areas. So experience becomes very critical. And then we also looked at the new generation today looks at a particular cause for association as well. So that is where our MG stance of diversity and sustainability comes into picture, along with community service. So when we are looking at adapting to the new environment today, you have to look at all these parameters: technology, experience, and what cause are you associated with. And that's how we are building up MG in the country.
Okay, got that. Gaurav, I wanted to ask you about the business drivers for auto manufacturing in India. What are the new requirements that are coming up as far as auto manufacturing goes? Because there are new trends, there's new technology as well. How are manufacturers like you keeping up with this paradigm shift?
One of the key aspects of the business today, one is exactly what your purpose is. And once you've defined your purpose, you then look at what the aspects will be. So number one here right now is in terms of how fast are you adapting to the technology changes so that you are able to be ready for the new demand of the consumer. That is number one. Number two is in terms of all the new regulations which come into play as well, and you are able to plan your production, plan your product cycle to be able to be in line with that, or in fact be ahead of the curve in many cases. The third key, I would say the key driver, of course, is consumer sentiment and actually thought leadership for your brand. And we will never go beyond the factor about your financial health of the operation. So I think in these four areas, in terms of the purpose, your portfolio based on who your consumer is, your adaptability, readiness from a perspective of regulatory issues, from a perspective of being there to fulfill your promise with the customer, and then obviously the regular ones will continue.
Mr. Dushyant, aapko bhi the same question to you. What do you think, if you can just sort of qualitatively tell us, what are the business drivers for auto manufacturing in India now?
So electric mobility is the way forward, definitely, and within the electric mobility as well, we have seen already a lot of changes, although it's a nascent market as yet. First, we had the lead acid batteries, then the nickel cadmium. Now we are at the lithium ion solid state batteries. So there is a plethora of solutions available, and the market is still looking at what best could be the solution, which could be the most advantageous in terms of the space, the manufacturability, the range, and of course the usage. So and it should be consumer friendly. It should be at a price which is well affordable by the end user. So there are many things. As we said, even the electrical mobility is changing, and we are seeing a lot of new innovations as we speak.
That's an important point you made, and I wanted to ask that question to Manoj as well, because with changing technology and changing trends, you also have to be very nimble and in your assembly line, right? You have to be nimble, you have to be productive. You have to ensure that all these changes are handled effectively on the floor, on the manufacturing plant floor. So Manoj, how do you handle all of that?
Now, as Dushyant was saying, that there is a lot of technologies in EV which is actually in a nascent stage, and day by day there are new options which are getting available. So as you rightly said, that the facilities need to be very, very agile to adopt to the new product and subsequent processes. It should have a built-in flexibility that if there is a change in a process which is for good, that the system should able to adopt. At the same time, as a customer is expecting a best product at a very, very reasonable price. So all these processes should be also able to support the cost pressure, and at the same time, it should have a built-in quality so that the safety of users are ensured. So for having that, as Dushyant was also saying, that because now their technologies are very rapidly changing, your system should also able to have a built-in, what you can say, capabilities that the workforce which is on the shop floor should able to adopt and build the product first time right, which will directly have a benefit of a conversion cost and which can be shared with the customer directly. So we see there are a lot of technologies which are available, although it was in use since IC engine era, but because of the new technologies and new expectations, we at Rockwell is continuously adopting and innovating new solutions which can support the challenges which are imposed to all our customers to be lean, to be flexible, to be ready to bring the product faster to the market.
So in all of this, an important part is security, right, Manoj? Because in a smart and connected environment, security is also top priority, especially as the entire manufacturing technology platform is indigenous and in-house. What sort of security measures have you put in place to ensure that your IP stays secure?
Yeah. Now, as you rightly said, that because of the complexity which is getting built in, and you need to have a connected enterprise within the factory as well as this to be extended to the supply chain. So it gives what you can say rise to a security issue. But all the products what we manufacture, be it the controller, be it the network or the software systems, they have come with built-in security which enables only the designated users to have an access to a designated area only. So there is a good amount of an care which has been taken at all layers, from the hardware layer to an interface layer to a cloud layer to a user level. So there is an inbuilt security which is there into all products and solutions which are offered from Rockwell.
What sort of security measures have you put in place to ensure that your IP stays secure?
First is that IP, breach of IP is very important, so-called the patents or design patents. It is important that every company has a detailed design and development process, and that process starts with first the IPs. So before we design a concept, we need to understand the existing IPs of the product. So to do a kind of a scanning of the existing IPs, patents. This is most important, that every organization must do that. To understand for a particular design concept what kind of patents available is there, and our idea is better than that, or if the idea remains the same, can I do a bypass mechanism to bypass the existing IP? So it's very important that we start from the design and development process, that IPs are scanned properly, in terms of existing IPs, and whether the new idea which we bring on table is novel. Yeah. So novelty of the idea is also the key factor of success of any product design. So starting from that and then going into the filing of the idea and patent, this is a very important one. It's where the role of the IPR cells, where they discuss with the idea generators, the creator of the ideas, and formulate that idea into a patentable idea. So this process makes organization, focus on the engineering stronger, right? So to start from the engineering and make the ideas patentable and then register the patent, and some areas of product like which are more related to aesthetics, maybe design patents of that, to secure what you do, which is not copied by others, because finally what you invest, you need to get the money back, right? So makes the company to grow. So ensuring that the IPs are properly patented or registered, and then also tracking that competition doesn't use our IPs, so breach of those to be also frequently checked.
All right, I want to ask this question to Gaurav, because now we see a lot of MG cars on the road, especially the electric vehicle ones. So I wanted to know, what are the challenges that you faced in bringing your EV to life from conception to the road? How long did it take, and how are you planning to scale it up for mass production?
That's a question that's very close to all of us at MG and to all our ecosystem partners. So let's take a step here. We brought in our first, pure electric internet SUV in January of 2020. And what this implied is that we were working towards bringing this car at least 2 years before that time frame. And that was a time when overall, so go back to 2017, 2018, at that point in time, the overall perception of EVs is very different from where it is today in terms of acceptability. We had a lot of naysayers in the overall ecosystem, and as well as, to understand consumer anxiety. So the first step that we had taken was to understand what is the consumer drivers, what are the consumer concerns around the electric vehicle. And one of them was range, which means how many kilometers you go on one charge. And second is, where do I charge my cars? And that still continues to be a concern today as well. And that drove us to working on our first product, which is the ZS EV. And we brought in the largest passenger car battery in the electric vehicle system, 44.5 kilowatt. At that time, it gave you 320 kilometers on one charge. And that has now evolved with the battery technology to give you a 461 kilometers on one charge. So that gives assurance. And we also set up a 5-step charging solution for consumers, providing a charger with every car to be installed at home, which we also realized that who will install it. So we had to actually work with a new startup called eCharge Bay to really do the last mile fitting of the charger. So that's proper quality. We fitted up our dealerships to make sure that they have these fast DC chargers so that consumers can go and top it up there. We put up chargers on the highways wherever we had our dealer partners so that people can do interim route top-ups. We then also had charging cable in the car. I mean, to begin with, that's the number one. wherein wherever you could find a 15, 16 ampere socket, you can charge your vehicle. And then we also looked at charging on the go, which means that if you are stuck in certain locations, in certain cities, a van would come across to you and do a quick 30-minute stop up, so you could go to a nearest charging station. So that was our first big addressal of understanding how to bring a product to the market. And then we worked around with the eco partners in terms of charging companies who would supply us the hardware, the software companies who would provide us the charging software. We also extended this journey further to look at a bit ahead in the future about who would be the partners for recycling of batteries. That's very important in the ecosystem. That's how we were working out step by step when we brought in the car.
Okay. Dushyant, I wanted to ask you about competition because, nowadays there's, of course, a lot of new competitors coming on board, and one needs to be agile and flexible in the production environment, like launching new products, increasing the number of variants, increasing your sales effort. Marketing is different, very different now compared to what it was 10 years ago. What measures have you taken in your manufacturing and production process to handle competition?
So what we have done is that we are working towards the lean manufacturing setup. With our parent company in the Netherlands, we are also setting up robotic proto shops. So what happens is that whatever quality issues we have in the product and in the manufacturing line, we are looking to kill that in the proto stage itself. So with a robotic proto shop, it gives you flexibility. You can use the same equipment in the production line later. You get super premium quality at the product stage itself while it is in the proto. So with that, it enables us to have a much better product when it finally comes to launch. So we are also developing and setting up robotic proto shops. So the use of new materials, the use of new technologies, such innovations really help in reducing the investment upfront and also promote a great carbon footprint using minimum carbon footprint in the plants.
Okay, that's great to hear. So Manoj, from your end, wanted to know anything that needs to be done. We discussed changing consumer behavior, we discussed increasing technology, increasing competition. Any other pockets that perhaps could feature in the years to come, where people need to either make investments, make changes, make efforts? Anything that you'd want to highlight?
There is a lot of new processes and technologies which are getting adopted. So the complete end-to-end connected factory where the company will know what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, and this is guiding to the machines, to the equipment, to the workforce. So they will able to build a quality product in the first go itself. It will also have certain quality checks. So the product is tested beforehand, before it is actually going to a customer hand. And it also has some of the genealogy parameters. When I say genealogy, when the product is being made, there is a lot of aggregates which are bought out. So if there is a field failure or field complaint, with the systems which are in place, you will able to pinpoint the source of the problem, and that can be eliminated so that whatever waste or quality issues which are created during manufacturing can get added. And this will indirectly help the sustainability piece also, that they will able to use all their resources at an optimum level, be it in paint, be it in electricity, or any other utilities which are being used for manufacturing. So there is an indirect intangible benefit. You have a complete visibility across the value chain. You will able to control what you are producing, and this will in turn help a betterment of what you can say product quality, and at a cost what is it is produced at.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks a lot for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking to all of you, and we got to learn a lot, especially about the new technology, the new trends in the emerging automobile and electric vehicle space. Thanks a lot for watching.
Forbes India, CNBC-TV18 present India Inc. on the Move. Smart manufacturing, powered by Rockwell Automation.